Also, before you do get to that point, you have to look in the mirror and kind of give yourself a slap. If you know you're snacking away and you know you're eating cakes, and when you're, telling other people, oh, I ate really healthy, I ate chicken salad, broccoli. Time of the boat, hey-ho here. Thank you for joining me as always. And today we are going to talk about something that everybody talks about when it comes to fitness and lifting weights and losing fat and losing weight especially, which is your metabolism. Now, I do have a little opinion on this, which I will get to after we've got into the study. But there is a brand new study. And if you're in your mid-30s or somewhere around middle age and you've been going, oh, this damn metabolism is what's making me so fat. Well, according to science, you don't know what you're talking about. Because researchers did talk to 6,400 people, which again is a very small sample size when you think about the entirety of planet Earth, but it's still pretty big, all things considered. And they went all the way down to the age of 8, all the way up to the age of 95. They spoke to people in 29 different countries. And indeed, the findings that they did find, worst sentence I've ever said in my entire life, was that basically from 20 all the way through to 60, your metabolism doesn't change. It's exactly the same. Now, of course, you may have a crappy metabolism to begin with, but if you think you were kicking ass in your 20s and you got to your 30s, I thought, oh, man, this is more of a struggle than 40s. What's going on? Then 50s, oh no, I'm a big fat guy. Apparently, it's not true at all. You were just eating too many Twinkies. But they also kind of looked at it from different perspectives. This is when I got interested, because as opposed to just get a bunch of the same people, they got some people that were fat, they got some people that were muscular, they got some people that were thin, because of course, the bigger you are, the different your body is going to respond to what you're putting in it. And really what they were doing is what boxing does. They were looking to see how it works pound for pound. So I have a 300-pound man. How does that compare to a 125-pound man? And what can I learn from this? And they learned a lot, for example. Because as it says here, the study published in the journal Science found 4 phases of metabolic life. Birth to age 1, when the metabolism shifts from being the same as the mother's to a lifetime high 50% above that of adults. So basically, when you're 1 year old, you have the greatest metabolism ever. And after that, it's just an absolute crapshoot, which I love. Because hands up, if you can remember what you were doing at 1 year old, put your hand down. The only people that pretend to know are those like soothsayers with their magic balls like, oh, I'm walking around my house when I was 1. It's like, would you stop? Moving on to a gentle slowdown until the age of 20 with no spike during all the changes of puberty, which is kind of surprising because think how much your body does change, but apparently metabolism stays the same. No change at all between the ages of 20 and 60, which is the bit that's going to make you all upset, and a permanent decline with yearly falls that by 90 leave metabolism 26% lower than in mid-life. So yeah, by the time you get to 60, which in most countries is considered an old age pensioner, which seems very unfair in 2021 and maybe ever, that's when all of a sudden eating that secret bowl of cereal may come round and start to kick you in the ass. And Professor John Speakman, who obviously was involved, said it's a picture we've never really seen before and there's a lot of surprises in it. The most surprising thing for me is there is no change to our adulthood. If you are experiencing a midlife spread, you can no longer blame it on a declining metabolic rate. They also said there was no slowdown during the menopause or during pregnancy. However, they did want to make it clear that the reason it's so important to give good nutrition for kids is because during that time, that is when your metabolic cells are still trying to find their way. So if you do indeed give them crap food after crap food after crap food, you're probably going to set them up for life with a bad metabolism, which is why, as I've said time and time again on this channel, we should be treating nutrition like maths, like science, like reading. It's something that we should be teaching our kids at a very young age, because then in later life, when they are 35, 38, 47.2, whatever the hell it is, they can have a piece of cake and they're not lying on the couch like, why am I fat now? Even though we just disproved that's wrong, but you put it in there originally, so it'd be when they're 25. It's not fair. But they really went into this as well because they started to research about how your metabolic rate or your metabolism could even tie into getting certain diseases like cancer. But what's really interesting, and I'm sure the reason you want to know about, is of course obesity. Because Tom Sanders went on to say, interestingly, we found very little differences in the total energy expenditure between early adult and middle age, a time when most adults in developed countries put on weight. These findings would support the view that the obesity epidemic is fueled by excess food energy intake and not a decline in energy expenditure. And Dr. Soren Brage, who has the greatest name of all time, so well done to them, said that the total amount of energy used had been notoriously difficult to measure. We urgently need to turn our attention not only to the global energy crisis defined by the burning of fossil fuels, but also the energy crisis that is caused by not burning enough calories in our own bodies. So to go back to the quote before that, that guy is essentially saying, he's proving it. This is a scientist, man. This is a professor. He's smarter than you and I, unless you're a professor too, but then you're his friend. You should want to back him up. Then it comes down to calories in and calories out. And your metabolism is basically doing what your metabolism metabolism has already done. Now, however, I want to come in here and say this is a blanket way to talk about it, and the numbers are there, so you do have to take it on board a little bit. But is there every chance that you do not fit into this? Of course it's true. I've said time and time again, you can find a study for every single person, but also you are a unique individual. So there may actually be going something on with you where your metabolism is being affected, but it may also be being underpinned by something else. Maybe you are in ill health. Maybe you do have some kind of a disease. And that's why before you even start worrying about going to the gym and getting ripped or getting a six pack, if you really do feel like you've encountered some of these issues or some of these problems, you have to go and talk to a doctor and you have to go and talk to a medical professional. Also, before you do get to that point, you have to look in the mirror and kind of give yourself a slap. If you know you're snacking away and you know you're eating cakes, and when you're, telling other people, oh, I ate really healthy, I ate chicken salad, broccoli, but you know that's not true, you got to be accountable, man. You do. And I'm not saying that health and fitness is the greatest thing in the world. Well, it is the greatest thing in the world. I'm not saying that it's the be all and end all though, right? If you're got a little bit of flubber around your belly, but you don't care about that, is that the end of the world? Of course it's not. But if you are actually trying to get in shape and you are looking for excuses, maybe your metabolism is not the place to look at. I mean, it's something we talked about the other day. It's when people go, oh, I would be big and jacked, but I'm not on steroids. And then you talk to them and they're barely going to the gym and they barely know what protein is. So it's like, I don't really think you've understood the basics. So really you need to start there. But to tie into that as well, I mean, there was also an article attached to the BBC one that I read that was called, this was published back in 2013, Slow Metabolism, Obesity Excuse is True. And in this, I mean, this was only a study of 100 people, so there you go. They went into it and said, no, look, some people do have slow metabolisms and it is causing them to put on loads of weight even though they're not eating that much food. But have a guess where this all started. Childhood. So this ties back into what we say. Essentially, when you're in this sort of growth period after you're 1 year old, depending on what you're putting in your mouth is also shaping how it's going to set you up for later life. I don't want to go down that road again because we just talked about it. So it does go to show. Now, look, I don't have any kids and I'm certainly not going to sit here and be a parent, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I do think en masse, as a people, as a civilization, as a population, it would be really good if these kind of things were taught to kids. Like, why don't we tell kids what a calorie is and how nutrition works, and that essentially what you're eating, or what a calorie is that it's a unit of energy. And if you need 2,000 energies to get through the day and you start eating 3,000 energies and you're not working it off, you're not going to the gym, or you don't have a specific goal in mind where you're trying to achieve something, you are going to get fat. I don't think I knew that until I was in my 20s, probably in my late teens, so I got into bodybuilding and lifting weights. But so many people I know of my age, I'm in my early 30s, so many people of my age, they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue about any of this stuff. And it's because no one's ever taught it to them. Like, if someone said to me right now, Simon, go fix the toilet, I'd be like, well, I can kind of have a guess, but I'm not educated in this. It's like if someone said, Simon, come put this fire out in my house, I'd be like, why don't you call the fire department? They know what they're talking about. And it's the same with this. You have to put the things in people's minds and you have to let them then, if they want to keep snacking afterwards, and that's fine, that's their complete choice. But nobody knows there's at least 1,500 calories, at least, in a McDonald's meal. They just think it's the same as anything else. Even something like a lasagna, right? Lasagna, to some people, has been summed up as a healthy dish. And I guess it is in comparison to some. But, you get these sort of massive squares of lasagna that you can buy in Sainsbury's or Tesco's or your grocery store of choice, and they're like well over 1,000 calories. And people are having lasagna and salad and thinking because they've got a salad there, they are eating well. Now, of course, can you get a lasagna in your diet? Absolutely. Once again, if your energy for the day is 2,000 and you want to smash a 1,000 calorie lasagna at 3 p.m., then you have 1,000 other calories that you can play around with for the rest of the day. And you don't have to be that stringent with it every single day because, of course, it's about what you're doing over the course of a week, a month, a year. But some people have no idea, and I think it's time that we did have an idea, and this takes away one of those excuses. So if you start lifting weights at 20 and you get in great shape by 26 and by 36 you look like a fat slob, well, you probably gave up on your diet. So there you go, boom, interesting. Love how these things come out of nowhere, and I love that we get to discuss it. Now please do like the video, share the video, subscribe, leave a comment. YouTube loves that. Help the algorithm. Click the bell, ding ding, so you know other videos are going live. There is another video on the screen right now. Please do give it a click. Then patreon.com/Simon316 if you want to support me that way. Always massively appreciated. At Instagram and Twitter at Simon316. In Greg Doucette's new cookbook, go in the description below and you will find all the information that you need. Simon@thebigcartel.com for merch. May have done that twice. I'm losing my mind. Make sure you eat well and I'll see you soon.